I had seen an ad on Gangster Report, and it was actually just a picture, and it was the picture from the Danny Lyons book, The Outlaw, going over the bridge, and his pompadour streaming by.
Bikeriders is the book,
Yeah, yeah,
which is the movie.
yeah. And then I read the articles, and so I read it, and then they were like, they're shooting this. And I remember,
Cincinnati.
yeah. And I remember seeing that poster. That picture had been a formidable thing in my life. I was always into greaser culture and
Yeah.
rockabilly, but that picture. So when I saw that picture, I was like, oh, and then they tell that like they're filming this movie, and it's kind of like, it's like if Mad Max was shot in our lifetime when we were old enough to be in it, we would have all ridden there with our bikes to like Henry and Jonah
Y'all
and
would have.
you
I
and
would have.
me and
I got a
Neil,
day job.
you know. But we would have all made that trek to be a part of this thing if it was within grasp. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a cult film. And so I always had that. I always wanted to just be. So, but so I saw that and I was like, I'm never a through the front door kind of guy. I'm not a fucking actor. I'm like, I would be. Look, I do my own stunts. I fucking person. Like,
Mm.
I can take a punch.
Yeah.
Uh, I would, whatever, but a little old to start being a stunt man. But uh I find the lady who's doing the castings email through a roundabout way, and I just do what you always told the one thing you told me that like really opened a lot of doors for me. That's what got me in the my real good gig bounty hunting, bail
Hmm.
bonds work, was you told me your story about the hardware store. And you were like, just tell your story, you know. And that's like some great advice. That's like just be authentic, tell your story. Like, so I just go, hey, so blah blah blah, da, 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 I want to be in this film. I sent him a couple pictures. It's like me in a bathroom, like pretty much wearing this, I guess. It's like my uniform,
Well,
whatever.
actually, I think you showed up on set wearing what the lead was wearing, and they're like, "You can't wear that shirt.
Yeah, like
That's
I thought I
you
had
were
the
too in character.
yeah, I
You
thought
were so in character."
I had the right shirt because I have the exact shirt and that I've had for 20 fucking
Yeah,
years
yeah,
because I s- I know my history. I know what's
right, yeah, yeah,
correct. I
yeah.
was raised by Doc and these
Paul,
yeah,
Paul knows what's correct.
Paul knows what's correct. Doug knows what's correct. You know what's correct. I do. We had good mentors. And that's how the old school world worked. It's like you didn't like go on YouTube to figure out what being a biker was about, and go to fucking Hot Topic and buy.
Shout out to Sos the Ghost.
Yeah. The YouTube biker. Fuck. It's like you went and you fucking there was a scary dude down the block with a fucking Harley in a garage, and you rode your fucking Stingray or your
Yeah,
BMX over there with a card in the spokes, and you were like, "Excuse me," and they were either cool or they told you to get the fuck out of there.
yeah.
If they were cool and you asked the right questions and you shut the fuck up and listen, you got the information, and that's like the world I long for. So yeah, so I, show up. So yeah, so I send the email and hey, you send me the lady in charge of casting just sent back her first response was just like, wow. So I get the wow response, and then she's like, okay, so we're shooting. Can you be here in 3 days, basically? And I go, yeah. And she goes, but I want to warn you, this doesn't pay any money. And I'm like, look, lady, I just I wanna be a part of this. You don't understand, like, I saw that
Yeah,
image,
yeah, yeah,
and it,
yeah.
like, made such an impression on me that I wanna be a part of this. So I'll be riding my motorcycle there immediately, and I didn't even have the money to do it, and I wouldn't have done it, and I even had doubts. I had no money to make this trip, and, I was like, I probably won't do it. And it was Ariel. And she just like, look, do you know how many people want to do that? And I mean, do you know how many people would, you know, have probably like sent the things and done the things and like, are you an idiot? Go do it. And
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I don't have the to do the money. My bike, I had run from the cops or whatever, in Taos. I'd wrecked my Harley. It was crinkled up, but I could always stash it at her house. So I go to get my bike. She's put a bunch of change on my bike, like, but not so, and like other people are like, threw in gas money to get me to Cincinnati. So I take this, ride to Cincinnati. I get there. I fucking miss the first day of shooting because, it's, when you're doing time travel, you can, yeah. But sometimes like the flux capacitor and the warp speed and the things don't line up. And so I missed it by a couple hours. And so then it was a couple days later, they were doing, another shot. And um, I ended up crashing in a couple motorcycle clubhouses, on the floor and then in the attic or whatever. But so I got to be a part of the film. Uh, yeah. Uh, all the bikes are correct. It's like I've
oh, they
always,
did a beautiful job. That was
yeah,
recently rewatched it with a person who hadn't seen it. A good friend Bella. She we talked about it. She saw the book, and I was like, "You got to see this," and it holds up. It's beautiful.
soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Soundtrack is amazing. I don't think there's a track on there that I don't like. Um, turns out Lucero, Jeff Nichols' brother Ben Nichols is in the punk band Lucero. He's the one that turned him on to the book. I was my bike
Dennis
was
Hopper's in here somewhere too. Yeah,
and Dennis Hopper's in there. Yeah. Yeah. He's like Dennis Hopper's like my
spirit animal.
somewhere in there. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
really. And so I had
you visited his grave on the
that's
before
true.
leaving there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
going
like
there.
a lot of the God stuff. Yeah, so the God
Yeah,
shit, like so I've always believed like in God, like there was that whole like God's chosen people, like you're a child of God. And I've always like had a direct dialogue, whether I'm doing right or not. Um, but I've always felt like if you're gonna ask, you gotta give. And so I really wanted this part, and I go, I'm gonna go to Talpa. And I'm going to go to Dennis Hopper's grave. Easy Rider, another American icon of being of
yeah,
outlaw,
yeah.
and hero. And so he's got a like a real history in Taos. Like Taos is an outlaw's like land. Like you're welcome there. Like criminals, not so much. They don't, but the town will have a way of running you out. So will the Mesa. But outlaws, if you're like an honorable, you know, good bloke, so I went to Dennis Hopper's grave and I took a tall boy, like a giant Coors, and I went there and I talked to God and I said, "Hey, look, God," and I have a drinking problem at this point, and I go, "Hey, look, man, and it's like a beautiful day and you can see forever and the mountains there and I go, look, man, and I brought this little toy motorcycle, I was gonna bring an offering and I go, hey, God, it's been a while, uh, and that's, the end of Cool Hand Luke. That's what I love. Is Luke has this conversation, he has this, and that's where I learned how to pray. Like I say, I always had the wrong heroes. Like I broke out of every rehab and boarding school I was ever sent to as a child. I was always sent away. I even was breaking out of the D home. I broke my friend out, I just, but I go, look, God, I know I'm not great, but hey, look, man, I really would like to do this movie. And I'll tell you what, I'll quit drinking, uh, and for this part, and I'm not saying forever, but like, hey, look, if you could just make this happen and like we could, blah blah blah, I'll give it up for a while. So I finish the beer and I pour it out and I take my can with me and I make my offering and I go home and I sleep for 2 days and I go into my like depression because I'm not drinking, and so and that was when I got the email, and so that's how it kind of manifested. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience. The bikes were correct. There was a bunch of other magic that happened. They kept giving me like kind of more time. They'd be like, "We need a couple volunteers." I'd raise my hand. They'd be like, "Miles, come on," and like the stunt director was super fucking cool.
Yeah.
I really like that guy.
You guys put together your own little club behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Vandals.
there was the guys that were the like
The riders.
riding extras and then even the stunt guys like, and so since I rode my bike from New Mexico, like everybody else had to get on a bus and meet at a parking lot and be driven onto the location. I just got to ride onto the location. So I just rode on and like parked my bike. And then like people were like, "You're the guy that rode from New Mexico or Arizona?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." And the whole group, all of the people were just so welcoming and the food was amazing. And I was like, I could do this.
Craft services is
Yeah, I could
amazing.
do this every day. And they
Yeah.
got hot hands. And I'm not, I'm not saying I still have some hot hands from the movie, but I still have some hot hands from the movie. Let me tell you, because it was fucking freezing cold and I was commuting from Columbus and
I think you at
Lancaster.
some point you were like one of these trips on that leg, you got caught in the cold and you were insulating your riding clothes with like what were you using
Man,
for
I
insulation?
fucking so I had to ride, and it was okay. So fall here and fall other places is not Ohio fall. And so this movie was shot like and Nichols was like brilliant in this.
Mhm.
Like the color and the lighting, the natural lighting. And he shot it on film.
Yeah.
There's only like one scene, and that's because of the bridge scene and this and that. And
Yeah.
when Kathy kind of leans her, that he had to use digital because of the lighting and the dark and the speed of the shot or whatever. But it was shot in film,
Mhm.
and it like I mean, the bikes were correct, everything, and it's like you stepped into another time. I finally
Yeah,
felt like I found my
you
time.
were sending me pictures from the set of the
Yeah.
park bench you were sleeping on outside of the
It's like I
clubhouse.
finally found my time, and it's like I prospected for a motorcycle club before. I'm prospecting for this club.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
So it was like, why drive back to like an hour back in the fucking freezing cold? And by that point, my headlight was out on my bike. My Harley's always falling apart. It had been wrecked, but I rode it anyway.
Yeah.
It was crooked, but I rode it anyway. And I was there for 2 months off and on, between crashing in other clubs, clubhouses, and basically like on the road, and then showing up a couple days on set here and there and eating and whatever. And then and they paid pretty good for a low bagger. But anyway, like, yeah, I'm sleeping outside. Like, they're like, everybody else goes home. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And it's the security guy. And he's like, what's going on? And like, the Teamsters are cool. Everybody's just working class, fucking cool people. And I'm just like, hey, man, I'm going to. I'm going to be sleeping on this bench. Is that cool? And they're like, yeah, man, I'll look out for you. And he's like, the cops will come through, but look, I'm going to tell them you're cool and you sleep on that bench. I'll watch your shit. I got you. Just close your eyes and go to bed. And
Nice.
it's fucking cold, but I know dudes watch it. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
still like got one eye open, but like the whole experience. And then the assistant director, she's Molly. She's fucking what a beautiful woman. Uh, she's like the stunt coordinator's like, Miles, and like so we're all just sitting in this room and he's like, Miles, and I'm like, I'm in fucking trouble again, you know. And so I'm like, yeah, what's going on? What I do? And he's like, you're not in trouble. He's like, Molly wants to talk to you. And I'm like, all right. So fucking uh I go outside and like I walk around and she's the assistant director. Like she's the jam. And she's like sharp as a tack. She's really, like she's the one that gives us the breakdown before the shot. She's like, hey, so look, we heard you're sleeping on the set. And I'm like, oh fuck, the gig's up, like here we go. Low baggers booted off, and to me, I'm living it. I'm like, like I feel like I am like, like this is like I relate to this. Like I wouldn't have driven there to do fucking DuckTales or, or any other whatever example of movie. Like, I don't wanna be in movies, but, like, this I did. Like, a Western probably, like, maybe,
Yeah.
but this, like, I felt like it was natural.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like, "Here I am getting kicked off the fucking movie, like, way to go." And she's like, "So we got together, and, if you'd have come to us and told us, we'd have like da 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 da. Because I was like, looking around to like in the wardrobe room for like when nobody's looking, like, man, I could just stay in here tonight, save myself 200 miles in the cold. She's like, so we got you a hotel room for 3 nights, here. Just if you need anything, just come to us and da 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 da. And I'm just like, are you serious? I'm just like, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, it was like this just I mean, I did kinda blow it in the end, I kinda yelled at the costume girl because she kinda sucked, and, I mean, she kinda sucked, and she was trying to, like, she yeah, but, and then Ted was like, "Hey, man," but Ted didn't give a shit because he knew she sucked, but, uh, I felt like I might have had another couple days if I hadn't have yelled at the costume gal for, like, getting in my shit.